Cross the Ages began its first playtest in 2022. But the Web3 gaming industry is changing fast and new players like Parallel are arriving to the TCG genre. This being said, with so many options when it comes to trading card games, do you think it's still worth playing Cross the Ages in 2023? You're watching the Crypto Herd, I'm Bruno and we went back to Cross the Ages, and I can tell you that this is not your typical TCG game. So when you think about trading card games, you think about games like HEARTHSTONE, for example, but Cross the Ages is more like Final Fantasy IX minigame. Do you remember that? Well, maybe you're not that old, but I can tell you that here the idea is to control the board by capturing cards and not by destroying them. So whenever you play a card, it will remain on the board for the duration of the whole match, and your opponent can capture that card for his side. So whenever you play a card, its power can change and who it belongs to can also change. So in order to capture a card, your card's power has to be higher than the opponent's card power, unless you have an elemental advantage. And here is where the heptagram comes in. So the heptagram is where you can see the elements advantages and the affinities. So for example, by looking into it, I can see that fire has an elemental advantage against nature. So if I play a fire card closer to my opponent's nature card, that fire card is going to have plus 150 power. Then another thing that we have to take into consideration are the elemental affinities. So for example, fire and air, they both have an elemental affinity. So if I play a fire card close to one of my air cards, both those cards are going to have a double affinity and their card's power is going to increase. So guys, as you can see, there are a bunch of things to consider when playing Cross the Ages. There are a bunch of strategic decisions that you can take at any moment. And this being said, this is not an easy game to learn. Cross the Ages, being so different than all the other TCG games, has an advantage and a disadvantage. Let's begin with the disadvantage. Cross the Ages is a tough to learn game. You have a heptagram with 7 different elements with affinities and strengths and weaknesses. Then you have the heroes which have different skills, and then just the whole game is different than the other TCG games, so it's a bit tough to get started. But then we have the advantage, which is the fact that while all the other TCGs are a copy of games like HEARTHSTONE, Cross the Ages is original and unique. And guys, I love projects that bring new ideas to Web3, and Cross the Ages did just that. Now let's talk about the blockchain side of Cross the Ages. So Cross the Ages as a Web3 game works more or less like other trading card games. So you can actually mint your cards into NFTs and sell them on the Immutable X marketplace. So if we actually go there, we can see that there's actually a decent volume. 24-hour volume is of $27,000, which is quite good. But I got a bit disappointed because I bought a pack for $500 and its top cards is only worth $100. And guys, this is like the highest tier of card, is like mythical and it's like shiny and cosmetically looks different. So that's a bit disappointing, but well, maybe if the player base increases, it's going to be worth more in the future. Then you have the CTA tokens, which are going to be the on-chain tokens of Cross the Ages. And these tokens are used to mint your cards into NFTs. So if you want to sell a card, you're going to have to first mint it as an NFT, and you're going to have to spend CTA tokens to do that. Plus, by holding a certain amount of CTA tokens, you're going to have weekly airdrops of cards. And then on top of all of this, they want to implement a system whereby spending CTA tokens, players can actually get a physical copy of a card, which is quite innovative. So let's actually imagine that I want to get the physical copy of this card, where I'm going to be able to do it in the future by spending CTA tokens. And guys, that's something I've never seen in any other trading card game. So guys, by now we should have enough information to answer the question of the video. Is it still worth to play Cross the Ages in 2023? Well, if you actually take a look into other trading card games like Gods Unchained or Skyweaver, you can see that in this game you have either a hero or a champion or a god or something like that, and then you have a deck of cards with minions, and each minion is like its health points and attack power, and then your goal is to destroy your opponent's minions to get to his god or hero or champion. And then you take a look into Cross the Ages and you can see that it's completely different than everything we've seen so far in trading card games, and that's what makes it so special. And for that reason, I actually think that it's worth playing Cross the Ages in 2023 because of its originality. Plus, it's engaging, it's fun, and it's quite challenging. Plus, on top of that, you might earn some rare card that might be worth a couple of bucks. But guys, now what about Gods Unchained? Do you think it's still worth to play it in 2023? Well, make sure you watch the latest video I've done about it to find out. Thanks for watching and see you in the metaverse!